Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for coming to watch this video. My name is Alejandra. This is Wildflowers Within, and I'm super excited to have you here on this channel. We've got a full moon in Libra to talk about. I am feeling the intensity. I think everybody in the collective might be. We've got Pluto in the mix, making a square to Venus. We got Jupiter and a T square to the full moon, and lots of different things. So before I get into it, I think I just want to say that I am calling in my tribe. Those people who watch this video are here to break heaven on earth. So I thank you. If you felt the call, you are in my heart, you are in my prayers, and whatever your divine mission is in this world, may you walk it with grace and beauty and love and light. And that is a great segue into a Libra full moon. So before I get into aspects, let's just talk a little bit about it. I'm going to do some storytelling. I have some notes. I like to riff and improv and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Libra. Libra is the masculine air temple of Venus. It is a sign of balance, of love, all things Venusian, and of course, beauty. And so a full moon in Libra is about these things. We're looking for how to integrate, where is our balance right now? How are our relationships? What does harmony feel like or lack thereof at this moment? And in what areas of my life? And truth. So a full moon, we have the sun sitting in Aries and we have the moon sitting in Libra, and they always create a tension between one another. New moons are times to plant seeds, to think about what it is that you're growing in your garden. Full moon is the harvesting moment of where you reap what you sow. And so right now, if the sun is, exalted in Aries, and it's just like me, right? Aries is I. It's the quintessential like I am. Then Libra is we are. Don't forget it. Don't forget it, bub. Yeah, you're amazing. Yeah, you got this beautiful soul, this beautiful mission, and you are not growing up on an island by yourself. In fact, the only way your purpose is going to flourish is if you remember that you are living in a world connected to beautiful, bright souls, just as special as you are, Mr. Aries, Mrs. Aries person. Right? We don't live in a bubble, yo. And this full moon is really allowing us to understand it. So the path is not something we walk alone, the path is something we walk with others. And so I wanted to pause and reflect on the beauty of that, the beauty of what this means. Venus is all about beauty, and beauty isn't just about the appearance of something, right? We can look at our world and see nature and spectacular sunsets, and all of that is absolutely beautiful. But there is something also that there is beauty needed in order to build our world. And true beauty looks like alignment. That is what Libra is here to teach, right? It is in integrity, it is in truth, it is in justice. And Libra is the symbol of these scales. I think it's actually the only zodiac sign where it's an inanimate object, which is really interesting, right? So the scales are ancient, right? These scales represent the art of weighing that choice, right? And the choice is made through discernment. And you can only make that choice when the world is calm, when your inner world is at peace. Otherwise, you're not going to get an accurate reading on this scale if there's just tumultuous turbulence in the background. So going for that story, I wanted to I want to be able to tell a story and kind of understand how this took place for me and what I see and how it activates within my field. So it's Holy Week, it's Semana Santa. And on Sunday, I really felt called to go to church. Now, I grew up Catholic, but I don't go to Catholic service anymore. I have a spiritual church that began in Brazil. and it is my spiritual work of choice at this point in my life. And yet, I felt very much like my inner child was like, I want to go and get my palms for Palm Sunday, right? And I have these memories of going to church, and it would be one of like the favorite masses because you'd get these cool like palm fronds, and then you'd learn how to like make a cross out of them and like walk around with them, you know. It was just like fun. It was exciting. I had something to work with and be entertained with at church. So I wanted to, so I went to church and I'm sitting there. Sorry, I'm getting notifications and I don't know how to turn this off right now on my phone. I hope you can't hear it. Um, and hold on, I'm gonna pause this video for a second. Oh my gosh, this is bad. Thank you so much. I was getting notifications and it was driving me crazy. So I turned that off. Definitely not balanced. Okay. Anyway, so I'm at church and I am remembering the prayers, you know, from when I went to school there. I went to Catholic school for 10 years of my life. And one of the things and the phrases that they say is right before you take the Eucharist, like when you're saying your prayers before you go up and actually like receive it, it says something to the effect of, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed. And for years, decades, right? I grew up Catholic. I would say these words, and I'm standing in the back of the church listening, and I cannot align with it. The scales to me do not feel right. And I feel like my internal compass, right, can detect something that's off. And I completely shifted the words because I'm realizing that my devotion to Christ is always going to be there. That does not change. But this dogmatic infrastructure, this paradigm that is trying to diminish my power, that is trying to disempower me by having me vocalize words that don't feel accurate in my body. So I changed it and I said to myself, you know, they're in the back being like, this is how you should say it. No, I said, Lord, I am worthy to receive you. All I need to do is say the word and I shall align. And as soon as I said it, I felt peace in my body. And I even felt there was this girl standing next to me and something was like, tell her what you just did. That was like, great. I'm going to be that crazy woman. Like, hey, can I just tell you that I reinvented the saying? But, you know, I have Mars in Cancer, so I can be very courageously vulnerable and share. It's a double-edged sword, I promise. But I do love it. And so I turned to her and I was like, can I just share with you something? She was open to it. And I told her, you know, like this is actually the church I used to grow up in. Like I came here as a little girl, but some of these prayers don't align. And I told her the phrase I had changed it to. And she just looked at me and put her hands to her heart. And she was like, thank you so much for sharing this with me. Like, thank you. And I had tears in my eyes. So I was getting emotional about it. Anyway, you know, I'm going to then get the Eucharist. And for a second, I think she thought I was leaving. She goes, are you leaving right now? And I said, no, I'm just getting the Eucharist. So we both go up, we come back. Well, at the end of the service, and the priest is walking out, she turns to me and she goes, you have no idea how much I needed to hear your share today. She had been doubting and questioning, you know, why should she even come? She said that she started going off on a different spiritual path, but you know, something was like, go today. And she asked for a sign, you know, a sign that she was on the right path. And she said that by me sharing with her, it gave her that reassurance and also like a teaching, you know, that we can still have our devotion, but it doesn't need to be in this old paradigmatic structure that no longer serves us. So, balance is everything. And that is a big part of what Libra is teaching at this time. Um, I wanted to share that, the shadows of Libra that can come up, a full moon highlights it very much so. So shadows can look like people pleasing. Shadow could be like me still in the service and just saying it to go with the flow, right? And not cause disruption because everybody else is speaking those prayers, So I did it in my own very diplomatic way internally, but I knew where to set my boundaries. But Libra's shadow could be those who don't have the voice to say it, right? That fall into the people pleasing, that lose their voice in order to keep the peace, or they overthink, or they get stuck in their head. What's that phrase? The paralysis of analysis, that is definitely a shadow of Libra. So it is a great time. Anytime a full moon in Libra is coming up, there's a reckoning, there's a harvesting moment to check in and ask yourself, are your relationships balanced? Are you giving and are you receiving? Are you compromising too much? Or is there not enough compromising? It's a time to take inventory, and this full moon is really about honoring the wisdom, our internal compass of our soul. And how do we choose love? How do we choose the most loving action? Even if it might feel uncomfortable, but it's to steer us always to our true north, always to that magnetic direction that is about beauty and creating a world of beauty in our world. So, whatever that means to you. Now, some of the collective things that we're seeing in this world at this time, we're seeing this play out globally. The scales tipping in power dynamics as they unfold. AI, how much power to give AI? Where do we come in? What will be the struggles in the future if there is an imbalance in that? Checks and balances system, sexual assault allegations. You know, I'm thinking of Dolores Huerta and the two other women that came out to um, call upon, Cesar Chavez, who's passed, but saying that he raped them when they were young. And, he just add another perpetrator to the list of all that's being purged right now, all the truth that's coming out. So a lot of things are this feeling and this sense of where is justice being served? Where is it being highlighted at this time? Where is it still missing for so many people? And all of these same themes are playing in our own personal lives. So if we're looking at, where are my scales off? What needs to be rebalanced? Is it in my friendships or in my career, in my home life, or in my heart, or in my beliefs? Where is this needing a recalibration right now? This full moon is going to show you. And it brings me into the aspects. Pluto is in a square to Venus. And anytime Pluto's involved, it's just super intense. And Venus, thankfully, is in her home of Taurus. So Venus is in a place of peace, truly. I mean, when a planet walks into their own sign, and especially Taurus, it's a fixed earth sign, it's stable. It knows how to make things grow in excess. It's just a constant garden of spring. It's the garden of eternal spring, and any resource you need is there at your disposal. Now there's shadows obviously that everything has, right? The scales and balance need to be always kept in check, but Pluto in Aquarius is squaring Venus, and Pluto is demanding something of her. So Pluto in Aquarius is speaking to how are we rebuilding the communities that we are a part of, right? And if Venus in Taurus is looking for love, then what kind of communities are we going to build that can sustain that love, that can sustain that growth, that can become a beacon of what it is like to experience pleasure when the right communities are built and chosen, right? So it's a big one. It is a shifting of how am I going to integrate myself into this world? And who am I going to surround myself in for support? Mercury in Pisces, even though it's not aspecting the moon directly or the full moon directly, Mercury is trining Jupiter. And it really is, linear thought is not the guidepost right now. I cannot stress this enough. Don't look for literal, going through and being super technical. If that comes as an aftermath of something more inspirational, then yes. But the direct message is not going to be my linear thought. You are looking for deeper messages that are coming through symbolism, that are coming through art and emotion, right? You're receiving it in meditation, you're receiving it in plant ceremony medicine works, And I will share one little quick story because, oh, it's big. All right. So a couple weeks ago, like maybe a week and a half ago, I woke up and my eye was just throbbing. And I realized I was getting a sty. I've never had a sty in my life ever. Okay. And so it's very rare. And all of a sudden, so then I intuit. It's on my left side. It's the feminine side of receiving. What do I not want to see? Now, I'm not going to share that share. Feels a little too personal. I'm going to have my proper boundaries and I'm going to be sharing it with the women in the Lunar Alchemy Circle. And we're going to dive deeper into the astrology of what I see in it. But holy moly. And last night in a spiritual work, the a deeper understanding. I had a couple of things that I thought it was. And last night I got the true answer. And as soon as I did that, I looked at my eye and it was like almost disappeared. Like I had to acknowledge what it was. I had to understand what it was. And now, realize, okay, so that's my work. So reaching out, Mercury reaching in this trine with Jupiter could very much be like seeking that counsel, from someone or like plant medicine, something wiser, or a mentor that can be very supportive. And I do think that it's, Jupiter is holding a T square right now to the full moon. It's not exact, but it's within range. And I think that Saturn in Aries is really demanding something. Saturn is in his fall, in its fall in Aries. And I think that it can be very tough for um, anything like things that want to be built right now, projects that you want to embark upon. It can be tough to have a feeling like you are starting from scratch. I think of Saturn and Aries as like in the most dramatic way. It's almost like imagine, Frodo and the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? And then finally he throws the ring into whatever that place is called, and then he sails off with Gandalf, and now he's gonna go to like the realm of the elves and be fine. Well, imagine Saturn in Aries is like plot twist. All of a sudden, Frodo is back at square one. And maybe it's not the ring he needs to throw next time, but he needs to carry out another mission. So Frodo's like, dude, I'm tired. I'm old. What do you want me to do? Saturn has just completed. We cannot ignore the big outer movement of this planet right now. Saturn has completed a full round, gone through the whole journey of the zodiac. It was in Pisces, it got it, it got the spiritual lesson, the spiritual download, it built it, and now you're back at square one. And you're, it could be like, I'm kind of old to be starting something right now. That could be a vibration that people would be feeling, but it's divinely aligned. So no matter where you are or how not young you feel. It's never too late to begin again. And it can bring up its frustration. So I think Jupiter holding this T square is really allowing for that nourishment, really allowing an expansion of tenderness, of care, of, being able to protect or give you the infrastructure, right? Because Jupiter is also about infrastructure to to build something and create something that can nurture this world. So I do think it's going to be a test for some relationships. We'll see how it goes, but I think those are probably the main stories I wanted to share in this video. I would love to know if any of these are like landing with you. Please, if you're not subscribed to my channel, I would love a thumbs up and a subscription. It'll help the channel grow. It'll help call in the family of those people that are building a new earth alongside all of us. And I just send you so many blessings for this full moon. It is Semana Santa, it is a holy week, it is a powerful week for spiritual messages. And, don't really allow the linear brain to exit, linear mind, and to be in more of the dream and meditative state. And I think that you'll find some answers that are pretty deep and pretty profound. So thank you so much. Happy full moon.